Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Trek New Horizons tutorial with Cornish Ratbeard and myself. Today we are going to be looking at Empire starting conditions. Before we begin, remember if you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to both of our channels for new Star Trek New Horizons content and guides and tutorials. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the starting conditions in the Alpha Quadrant, which is everything defined as from the center of the galactic core west and directly south as well, so everything in this section. We'll start from here and work our way around here to United Earth. So the first one are the Nyberrite Alliance, which start in the Nyberron system. So they start with one planet called Nyberron Prime. They are a generic empire, so they start with the generic empire building starting set, which includes one fusion reactor, one mining network, one administrative complex, one regional academy, one frontier hospital, one recruit academy, one local garrison, one alloy foundries, one civilian industrial center, and one large-scale hydroponic fields. They also start with 6 city districts already built. The Nyberrite Alliance on Nyberrine Prime start with 20 Nyberrite pops, and they also have some defensive armies here as well. Additionally, they start with 3 patrol frigates. The patrol frigates look like this. The next empire is the Aurelian Parliaments. The Aurelian Parliaments start in the She-Hercules system. They start on the Aurelia planet, and they start with 21 pops. They also have defensive armies here available to protect their capital. They are also a generic empire, so they start with the generics starting buildings. They also have 6 city districts and 1 agricultural district already pre-built. Finally, they have 3 patrol frigates, which look like this. The next empire are the Breen, who start in the Breen system. The Breen Confederacy starts with 3 patrol frigates that look like this. Additionally, the planet they start on is called Breen Prime. They start with 19 Breen pops and the generic building set with the addition of Confederate command. They also start with 6 pre-built city districts. As I said, they have 19 Breen pops, and they also start with some defensive armies to protect Breen Prime. So next we have the Bynar Domains. The Bynar Domains start in the Beta Magellan system. They also start with 3 patrol frigates that look like this. And their planet, their home world, is called Bynos, which is here. They start with all of the buildings of the generic empire start, but they also have the planetary supercomputer special building that is unique to the Bynar Domains. They also start with 6 city districts. In terms of population, they start with 21 Bynar pops, and they also have defensive armies to protect this planet. Next, we have the Lissepian Parliaments. They start in the Liss system. They start on the home planet of Lissepia with 20 Lissepian pops, and they also have defensive armies. They are also a generic empire, so they start with the same starting buildings and with 6 city districts. Next is the Tholian Assembly. They start in the Tholia system, and they start on Tholia Prime, which is their home world. The Tholians are a little bit more unique, so they do not start with just the generic starting buildings. They also start with a lattice node, which provides unity, and also a policing system. They also start with 6 domed cities, which is their equivalent of a city district, and 2 crystal processing districts as well. They start with 28 Tholian pops, and they do have defensive armies to protect Tholia, as well as a fleet of 3 patrol frigates to start with that look like this. Next we have the Talarian Republic. The Talarian Republic starts in the Talar system on the planet of Talar. They start with 20 Talarian pops, as well as defensive armies. They also are a generic empire and start with the generic empire buildings and have 6 city districts. Next are the Selay Clutches. The Selay Clutches start in the Beta Renner Secundus system. So they have 3 patrol frigates in their starting fleet that look like this. They also, their homeworld is the Beta Renner Secundus 4 planet, and they are a generic empire. So again, they start with those same buildings and 6 city districts. They start with 20 Selay pops, and they have defensive armies to protect that planet. Additionally, we have right next door the Antican Packs in the Beta Renner system. They also start with 3 patrol frigates that look like that. They start on the Beta Renner 6 planet, which as their capital. They have defensive armies to protect their planet. They have 18 Antican pops to start with, and they have the generic starting buildings and 6 city districts. Next are the Cardassian Union. The Cardassian Union is a multi-start empire, so a multi-system start empire. They have 2 colonies, the Goralis system and the Regulac system. The Goralis system has the 1 planet colonized by the Cardassians, and that is Goralis 2, which starts off with an administrative complex, large-scale hydroponic farms, 4 Cardassian pops, and no defensive armies. The same is also true of Regulac as well. It starts off with the administrative complex, but it has more pops. It has 12 pops, meaning that it can also support more advanced buildings, such as the dilithium mine. It also has a fusion reactor, an entertainment center, alloy foundries, and a mining network. And there are no armies here to defend. Finally, the Cardassian home system. So there are 2 planets in the Cardassian home system. There is the Hutet colony, which starts with 2 pops and also only has an administrative complex and a large-scale hydroponics field, and no armies. And then finally Cardassia Prime, the capital, starts with 30 Cardassian pops and many defensive armies. Also, it starts with many buildings, including some from the generic starting set, but also unique buildings that are unique to Cardassia, such as the University of Kalat 1 can be upgraded, the Central Command HQ, which can also be upgraded, the Obsidian Order HQ, which can be upgraded, the Detapa Council Chambers, and the Chamber of Justice, which is a unique Cardassian building. In addition, they have 2 heavy industrial districts already built, along with 8 city districts. The Cardassians start with 6 patrol frigates, and they look like this. The next empire is Bajor. Bajor starts in the Bajor system, and we start as the Bajorans on the planet Bajor. They do have defensive armies, they also have 20 Bajoran pops, and they have a starting generic set as well. However, they do have a couple of unique buildings, such as the University of Bajor and the Altar of the Prophets buildings. They also have 6 city districts pre-built, and they start with 3 patrol frigates that look like this. Next, we have the Antedian Shoals, who start in the Antede system. They also start with 3 patrol frigates, which look like this. And they start on the planet of Antede 3. They start with 18 Antede pops, or Antedian pops, and they also start with the generic building set, as well as 6 pre-built city districts. And they have defensive armies to guard their planet. The next empire is the Caitian Union. The Caitian Union start in the Cait system. They start with 3 patrol frigates that look like this. They also start on the Cait planet as their home planet. They are a generic empire and have the generic starting buildings as well as 6 city buildings. They start off with 20 Caitian pops and armies to defend their planet. Next we have the Tmarian Unity. The Tmarian Unity start in the Sigma Tama system, and they start on Sigma Tama 4. They have 20 Tmarian pops and also defensive armies to defend their planet. They're also a generic empire and therefore start with those buildings, as well as 6 pre-built city districts. Next we have the Betazoid Houses. The Betazoid Houses start in the Beta Veladonna system, and they start on the planet of Beta Z. They have 21 Beta Z pops. They also have defensive armies to guard the planet. They also start with the generic building set, as well as 6 pre-built city districts. They also have 3 patrol frigates which look like this. Next, we have the Tzenkethi. The Tzenkethi exist here in the Tzenketh system. Their home system is the Ab Tzenketh planet, and they have the generic starting buildings as well as 6 pre-built city districts. They have 20 Tzenketh or Tzenkethi pops, and they have defensive armies to defend Ab Tzenketh. Next, we have the Tellarite Technocracy. The Tellarites start in the 61 Cygni system, also known as the Tellar system, and they start on the world Tellar Prime. They also start with the generic buildings and 6 city districts. There are 21 Tellarite pops, and there are armies to defend Tellar Prime. Additionally, they also start with 3 patrol frigates, which you can see here. Next, we have the Denobulan Unity. The Denobulan Unity start in the Denobula system. They have 22 Denobulan pops in the very beginning, and they also have defensive armies to defend Denobula. They also start with the generic buildings as well as the Denobulan Xenological Center, which is a unique building for the Denobulans. They also start with 6 pre-built city districts and have 3 patrol frigates that look like this. Next, we have the Lurian Principality. The Lurian Principality start here in the system of Lur. They also start on the planet of Lurig, and if you click here you can see that they are a generic empire as well. There are 6 city districts, they have a population of 21 Lurian pops, and they also have defensive armies to defend their space, defend their planet, and 3 patrol frigates to defend this system. They look like this. Next, we have the Pakleds, who start in the Pakled system. They also have 3 patrol frigates that look like this. They also start on the Pakled planet. They start with 20 Pakled pops and defensive armies to defend Pakled planet. They also start with the generic starting set of buildings and 6 city districts. The next ones are the Valerian Freeholds. The Valerian Freeholds start at Valeria Prime. They have 20 Valerian pops. They also start with the same generic building set and 6 city districts. They also have armies to defend their planet and 3 patrol frigates to defend their space that look like this. Next, we have the Trill Administration. They start in the Trill system. They start with 3 patrol frigates to defend their space, and they look like this. Their homeworld Trill has 20 Trill pops, as well as Guardians to defend the planet. They also have the generic starting set for buildings and 6 city districts. Next, we have the Ferengi, who start here in the Ventaris Idrian system. The Ferengi Alliance has the planet Ferenginar as their empire capital. They start with 29 Ferengi pops, as well as many of the generic starting buildings. However, they also have their own unique buildings as well. So they are an economic empire, so they have a banking complex. They also have the Sacred Marking Place. They have an additional fertilizer collector, and they also have a corporate monument here as well. Additionally, they start with 8 city districts instead of the typical 6. All of their pops are Ferengi, and they start off with a couple of defensive armies here. Additionally, they start with 3 patrol frigates that look like this. Next, we have the First Federation. The First Federation is an unawakened empire. They control multiple systems, but only have one that is colonized, called Fessar. Within Fessar, we have the Forum, which is their homeworld. They have 22 Fessarian pops. They also have many defensive armies to defend their planet. They also have the same starting building set as any other fallen empire. They start with an ancient palace, an affluent center, 2 of them to get supplies, a nourishment center for food, dimensional fabricator for special resources, class 4 singularity for 250 energy, an auto forge for alloys, Master Archive for research, and 4 sky domes for amenities and housing. Additionally, they have 3 fleets. The first one here is at 394.1 thousand fleet power, and this made of assault vessels that look like this. Additionally, there's this fleet here with flagships, of which there are 5 for a total fleet power of 395.7 thousand, and this is what an individual flagship looks like for them. Additionally, there is also this fleet, which has interdictor class vessels. This ship, an individual, looks like this, and this fleet starts off with 285.8 thousand fleet power. In addition to their Empire capital, which is called the Forum, they also have the Agora planet. The Agora planet starts with 60 Frisian pops, as well as defensive armies to defend it, and it also has the same building set as we saw on their homeworlds, and also no districts have been built. Next, we have the Sheliak Corporate. The Sheliak Corporate starts in the Sheliak system, and their homeworld is called Shelia, which starts with the generic building set as well. However, they do start with an extra city district. They start with 23 Sheliak pops, and they do have armies to defend their planet. They also start with 3 patrol frigates, which look like this. So next we have the Deltan Union. The Deltan Union start in the Delta Tricasu system. They start with 3 patrol frigates, which look like this. Their home planet is Dai, which is right here. They start with defensive armies and 20 Deltan pops. They also start with the generic building set, as well as 6 city districts. Next, we have the Kzinthi Patriarchy. The Kzinthi Patriarchy start here in the Tsai system, or also known as Ursa Majoris. They start on the Xin planet. They are a generic empire, so start with the same building set as we've seen from most empires. There are also 6 city districts that have been pre-built. They start off with 20 Kzinthi Patriarchy pops, so pops of the Kzinthi species, and there are several defensive armies to defend the Kzinthi Patriarchy. Next, we have the Saurian League. The Saurian League start off here in the Psi Serpenta system, and they start on this planet here, which I am unable to pronounce. They start also with the generic set of buildings for most empires and 6 pre-built city districts. They have 20 Saurian pops, and they also start with defensive armies to defend their space. They also have 3 patrol frigates, one of which you can see here. So next we have United Earth. United Earth starts in the Sol system. So United Earth starts with 3 patrol frigates. They look like this. United Earth also starts with 2 planets. There is the Mars colony, which has 6 human pops and no defensive armies. They also start with an administrative complex, a life support dome for housing and habitability, a mining network, and a Verteron array, which is a unique building that will eventually be used to terraform Mars. On Earth, the capital, there are 18 human pops. There are many of the buildings that we see in the generic set. However, there is also Cambridge University, which is a unique building for Earth. There's Starfleet Headquarters, which is, again, unique for the humans. And we also see that there are 6 city districts that have been pre-built as well.
Well guys, thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, make sure you give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to both of our channels. If you find you're struggling at all with Star Trek New Horizons, then please do check out our tips, tricks and tutorials playlist linked in the description below and at the end of this video.
We also have a Discord server we call The Collective. We discuss everything from these videos to Star Trek in general to what we're having for Sunday lunch. We also make our announcements there as well, and organize multiplayer games that you can play with us. You can join our collective using the link in the description below.
The collective must grow.
Alright, that's it from us for now.
See you next time.
Make it so.